Welcome back. Over the past several years, podcasts have been growing in popularity as a form of media consumption. And my next guest hosts one locally that explores our very own musical heritage here in Western New York. Welcome, Greg Hennessy, also known as Rockabilly Greg. Hi, thanks for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Of course.
So good to be here.
Tell us all about the podcasts in the Flamingo Lounge and what
Flamingo
inspired
Lounge.
that.
Yeah, that's my basement man cave. It's covered with all kinds of memorabilia of local history in music, records, and all that kind of stuff. And it's focused on musicians and music industry professionals from Buffalo and Western New York.
Yeah. Give us some examples of different topics that you've covered on your show.
Well, what I like to do is there's a rich musical history here in Buffalo, and I tell everyone Buffalo's more than just sports, chicken wings, and snow.
Right.
So we have such a rich musical heritage here, and going way back to Harold Arlen, who wrote "Over the Rainbow," which was the most popular song in the 20th century.
Yeah.
And at one point, I think "Iris by the Goose" was the most popular song of the 21st century. So we have a lot to be proud of, but there's a lot of musicians kind of just under that level that are doing a lot of great things, and their stories need to be told. So the whole impetus of the show was to tell those stories, and I bring them into my lounge, and it's a great vibe, and everyone has a good time, and we talk. It's very conversational. I am not a journalist, so I just like to talk music. I tell them, tell your story in your words. You've got an hour to get your story out. We record some live music sometimes. I'll edit in original music if they have it, and then we go from there. So it's all genres of music. Industry professionals. I've had venues on, proprietors, music promoters, and got a lot of stuff.
Who are some of the people you've gotten to interview?
Well, my very first guest was my friend and mentor, Mr. Rich Sargent, and he goes way back into the early 60s in the music biz, did a lot of stuff with Tommy Shannon back in the day, and he's just been someone who I really admire. I met him when I was on the board of the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame. I was there for 11 years and learned a lot about the local history of Buffalo and met a lot of folks, and it was another guest, my second guest. Rich was my first guest, and my second guest was Jessie Galante, who was in the band Actor in the early 80s, and she's still touring all over the world and doing a lot of great stuff. But she says, you love music and you're real passionate about it. Why don't you just do a podcast about it? And I went, okay. I had no clue what I was doing. I had never listened to a podcast, and I still really haven't listened to other podcasts because I want to stay true to what I think it should be and what my vision is. So.
Yeah, you kind of have your own sort of style. How do you describe that? You say you kind of start with like an aha moment with your
Yes, what I do is I ask everyone to give me what I call my aha question is, did you have an aha moment when you said music is what I want to do? And so a lot of people from the 60s, they all say, the Beatles on Sullivan Show. I picked up a guitar, I went out and bought a drum kit, etc., and that's what did it for me. And some people quite honestly said, I don't know. I don't know if I actually had an aha moment, but it gets the conversation started.
Yeah.
And I've actually had a couple people say it started in the womb. Before I was even born, music was in me, and that's just what I've always done, and you can tell by their music too. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, Greg, how can people listen to your podcast?
Well, it's available on everywhere you can find your podcasts, on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Amazon. Buffalo Toronto Public Media has a mobile app called Amplify BTM, which is all things local podcasts. And I have a website called rockabillygreg.com. And
how often do you put out episodes?
Every week. On Saturday at 9 a.m. There's a brand new episode, but you can listen to them at any time. And there's on my website, there's a search function, so you can go there and find if your favorite artist is out there. If you can't find them, contact me. There's a contact spot on the website, so you can get your favorite artist on. I'm open to to suggestions, and I am booked. It's starting to really get some good legs. People are starting to find it and want to be on, so it's good. But also on my website, I also put links to videos, links to social media.
Yeah,
maybe
it kind of makes a directory for all of those local artists.
Yeah, there's a lot of especially the younger ones getting up. They don't have websites.
Yeah.
They don't have much more than a small web presence. So this gives them something else to have, so they get their story out there.
Alrighty,
and
Greg.
People can see the great music.
Nice. So. I'm calling him the encyclopedia of Western New York music. Greg, thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Viewers, if you want to start listening to In the Flamingo Lounge with Rockabilly Greg, you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts, and head to his website at rockabillygreg.com for more information. Thanks again.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.